Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Reyanne Mustafa. Reyanne is doing some amazing work, so I'm excited to have her on to share a story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. The Unlock Wellness podcast is now on patreon.com. Patreon is an amazing site that allows you to support your favorite podcasts. You can learn more by going to patreon.com/Dr. Casey Johnson. There are even fun incentives for supporting, like shirts and stickers, so be sure to check it out. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is @Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drcaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, also be sure to check out the Shop tab, where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Reyanne Mustafa. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Reyanne Mustafa, and I was connected to Reyanne through past podcast guest Eric Vanderlee. He's also amazing as well, so be sure to go back and check out his episode too. But Reyanne is doing some amazing work. She is co-founder of the vegan company So Much, and I'm just excited to have her on to share her story and just the amazing work that she's doing with her company. So Reyanne, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah. So, we'll kind of just jump into your backstory first, first off where you're from and just kind of like an overview of what your wellness looks like for you growing up.
Yeah, totally. So I was raised in Orange County in Southern California and had a pretty, good standard of living. I was pretty fortunate to have a mom who was really motivated to ensure that my sister and I had enough food on our plates. We were really well educated in terms of like cooking. I have a Middle Eastern background. My ethnicity I'm actually Syrian. So food plays a huge role in our culture. So food was kind of like our love language from my grandma, and then from my grandma was passed on to my mom. So had kind of always learned that food was a great way of showing affection and taking care of the ones that you love and nurturing. But we were hit pretty hard with the recession. My mom was in real estate and she was a single mom. So at that point it was really challenging for us. So we had gone on food stamps, and I guess from a very young age, I had learned the high value of food, and the idea of wasting food was unimaginable. So fast forward to when I moved to college and I got my first serving job at a restaurant. I was so shocked to see how much food was being wasted every single night. And that's what kind of inspired the business and where we are today. But in terms of my vegan journey, that kind of started when my sophomore year in high school or in college, and I studied nutrition, food science and nutrition. And I was actually at the gym one day and I was just looking up like documentaries on YouTube, just trying to think of things to distract my mind while I was on the treadmill. And I came across Forks Over Knives. And so I started watching that and I became so like, I guess, mesmerized by this documentary. I was like, wow, how can someone who's studying nutrition in a institution in a university not know about this? Like, that blew my mind, right, that I'm not learning all these things and what dairy can do for you, all the bad things and blah blah blah. And I was just completely shocked by it. So I didn't I guess I didn't trust the documentary. I was like, okay, you know what? I need to read the China study book myself. So I went and I like looked at the book, and then I looked up all these other studies, and I found nutritionfacts.org with Michael Greger, and I was like, wow, this is evidence. Like, so my mind was more science-based. And I guess sophomore year, I kind of tried to start making the transition, and it was easier for me because I was living on my own in college. And then, yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, you know, I'm sure I didn't turn vegan overnight, and I admire those that have. For me, it was eggs and sushi. It was the hardest thing to give up. I was like, I go to the gym. What am I going to eat post workout? Like,
Right.
what? But you know, you find alternatives, and your taste buds adjust to different things. So yeah, that was kind of my vegan journey. And now it never was really for the animals or for the environment. Like I loved the environment, I cared for it, but it wasn't enough to change my habits. And I liked animals, but I didn't associate them with like living beings, I guess.
Right.
I almost say I'm like the world's most selfish vegan. I did it because I wanted to be fit, I wanted to be lean, I wanted to be athletic. I was getting into surfing, and yeah, I was like, I just want to do it for that reasons. And then later on grew the compassion and the sense of oneness with everything around, and you know, all the beautiful benefits that you get from the vegan and plant-based lifestyle.
Definitely. And yeah, I talk to so many people that that's kind of the route that they've taken as well. It's like everybody has their own reason, but eventually you figure out the other reasons and figure out really how like beautifully they all intertwine. It's really amazing. And Reyanne, I love your story because you did have to kind of, because, you know, and I know you're going to go into your company in a second, but the way your business is set up, like you said, you understood how wasteful people were being with food. And like you said, you were on food stamps. I mean, I know you were, you know, pretty younger when that happened, but like, do you remember the kind of foods that at that time food stamps would get you guys? Because that's, you know, that's a big problem, because especially with people going through hard times and they have food stamps, typically it's not the healthiest food, which is going to bring them down to a lower level. And it's hard to thrive and get out of a place like that when your only option is food that is the lowest quality possible.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember, like, even, I mean, I'm pretty grateful within the public school system. If you're in the lower income bracket, you get free food at lunch in high school and junior high. And I remember just getting pizza every single day. And granted, I was in junior high, so at that point I was like, this is awesome. I get free pizza every day.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that eventually takes a toll on you. And I remember I started getting really bad acne. And that was probably to be honest, one of my biggest insecurities. And that was, again, one of the motivators for me to go vegan. So when I heard how dairy can help clear your skin, because you're not, you know, putting so many hormones and chemicals into your body, I was like, man, like, I really want to do this for me, for my athletic self, and for my skin. And it helped a lot. But yeah, I remember, you know, the quality and the choices of food were pretty limited. I will say, though, I am grateful for my mother, because she fought so hard to make sure that we always had somewhat decent food. She's not vegan, but, you know, like, we would always have a salad, or we would always have like very traditional Arabic food, which is not that unhealthy, but, you know, not the lifestyle that I live now. But yeah, like, I just remember feeling limited and just feeling embarrassed, because I grew up in Orange County, where most people are I would say upper middle class. And to say that you're struggling with food is not something that's really socially normal at that time.
Right. Were like fresh foods super available for you? Because I feel like California has such a wide variety and a lot of other options that a lot of other states don't have the luxury to. So did you guys have a little bit more just because of that, just because of location alone?
Definitely. I feel very blessed to say, like, we were not in a food desert. I mean, if you go into Los Angeles, though, like Eastern Los Angeles, there's tons of food deserts. And, you know, now that I'm more involved in this space, I see it and I volunteer, and I've been more aware of it, and makes me realize how lucky I was to even, like, you know, you can make gourmet meals on food stamps, and that is what I feel very lucky with. But again, at the end of the day, I'm trying to look at the glass half full than half empty.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's those little things. But if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have started Soul Much, because food had become it was almost a privilege. And when you look at food as a privilege, you can't handle it being wasted. And so that's where I guess the business kind of stemmed from. So it's those moments that I'm so grateful for. And now that I'm older, I can realize how that had rooted into where we are today. So I'm so grateful for it. Wouldn't take it for granted, and want to just be able to spread the message to other people now.
I love that. I mean, just that statement, like food is a privilege, like that's so powerful, because I mean, I feel like most people, and myself included, take food for granted. And yeah, like I love that. That's amazing. And yeah, so let's jump into your company so much, and just dive into it. I mean, how did it even become just that like seed in your mind? How did it start? And kind of walk everybody through just the beginning stages of that.
Yeah, so we've had quite a little roller coaster so far, and we're still very young. There's only right now the three of us. We have people who volunteer with us all the time, but we're still in the very young stages of it. But it kind of all started with, so I'd mentioned earlier, I'd moved away to college, and I got a job in a restaurant, and I was just a waitress there. And whenever we would close, I would notice that we would throw away so much food. But this food was not the scraps on people's plates. This is not food that's been touched by anyone. This is food completely untouched that was being thrown away. Why? Because the chefs just oversupplied on it. So at the end of the night, if we oversupplied on rice and quinoa, we would just throw it away, because the next day we wanted it fresh. So I remember it was, I just remember seeing like us throwing away big pots of brown rice and quinoa night after night after night, and it would like kill me. And I would take some of it home, and there's only so much rice and quinoa you can eat at a given time. And then I started feeding all my roommates, and then my neighbors, and my neighbors were like, "All right, Ray, we're good on quinoa for the week. Thank you." And I was like, "Man, I got to do something about this." And then it was one night in particular, my chef opened up the rice cooker. And these are like restaurant sized rice cookers. So these are heavy duty. And he was about to throw it away. And not one serving was taken out of it. It was an entire fresh pot of organic brown rice and quinoa, literally just made to throw away.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I see him walking towards the trash can. I was like, "Chef, wait, stop, I'll take it." And he looks at me like, "Ray, what the heck are you going to do with 50 pounds of quinoa?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll do something with it. I'll go feed the homeless." And he was like, "Yeah, you want to go feed the homeless? Okay, go take it downtown and onto 17th Street if you want to go feed the homeless." And I was still somewhat new to San Diego, I guess. And I was like, 17th Street? What's that? Okay, fine. And so I wrap it up in this like aluminum foil tray, and I take it home to my apartment refrigerator that barely fit enough food for the five of us that were living in my apartment, let alone add 50 pounds of rice into the fridge. That just like completely, my roommates were like, "Ray, you need to get rid of this." So the following morning, I like packaged it up in little individual sized packages, and went down to this 17th Street. And little did I know that that was the highest concentration of homeless people here in San Diego. They call it Tent City. I guess it would be equivalent to like Los Angeles's Compton,
like
in a way.
Like Skid Row, yeah,
exactly. So as young and naive as that was, just walking to people with a bag of rice and quinoa. "Hey, are you hungry? Do you want some quinoa?" And it was really, really touching. But I realized, okay, this is not an effective way to do this, because I felt a little scared. I was a little naive. It was rewarding, but was not the most effective way to do it. So I'll be honest, I kind of gave up. I just got frustrated and just turned a blind eye to it like everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, "Man, okay, like," and I guess I don't know, maybe I'm speaking upon just myself, but I feel as though people sometimes have this mentality, like, if there's a problem, that someone else will fix it. Right. So
Right.
someone else will take care of it. Like, you see a fire on the freeway, and, "Oh, it's called 911. And I guess I had that mentality with the rice and the excess food. I said, "Oh, someone's going to take care of this food waste." And then I realized, I was like, no one is going to take care of this except me. And it was that shift in perspective that realized that I have to be the person to do this because no one else is going to spearhead this, was a game changer. And then I guess the aha moment was not that exciting, but I was walking down the protein aisle at Sprouts and I was looking up a vegan protein powder. And, you know, being a nutrition student at university, I study food labels. And so I was reading a package and the first ingredient I saw was dehydrated brown rice. The second ingredient, dehydrated quinoa. And I was like, oh my God, bingo, this is exactly what we're throwing away every single night. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I got the best idea ever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to, you know, do this and do that. And she gave me the love and support to, you know, follow through with it. And we originally were going to do a protein powder and take all the juice pulp from juice bars. So you get your greens, and then take all the grains from restaurants and breweries, all the spent grain, and you get your grains. So you get your greens and your grains. But we soon learned that instead of trying to create something and sell that to people, find out what people want and create that. And so we did tons and tons of interviews, and we asked people, would you want a protein powder? Would you want this? We thought we were going to do veggie patties at one point because, you know, brown rice and quinoa veggie patties. And we found time and time again, people wanted a healthy, on-the-go, convenient snack. And especially if you're doing something vegan, people are already hesitant towards the idea. People want something that's so easy. If you're going to not convert, but if you're going to have a non-vegan eat a vegan snack, it better be so easy for them and accessible.
And good.
And good. Exactly. And so the best advice that we got, so it's my partner, Chrissy, and I, the best advice that we had gotten was by a man named Bernie at my university. And he told me, he goes, yeah, you're two cute girls. You think you're, you know, that's great. You want to save the world. You want to save the planet. That's nice. That's cute. Yeah. But if you don't have the best damn cookie I've ever tasted, you will not go anywhere. It has to be amazing. And I remember almost crying. So I was like, man, I actually started crying. I said, wow, that's so much pressure. I don't know if I can do that. What, you know, but that was the best advice because we really tried to perfect the recipe and get people's feedback. And we're working at farmers markets now, and there's no better way to get people's feedback than when they try a sample. They literally, like, the facial expression that you get from someone instantly tells you they like it, they don't like it. If they buy it, they buy it.
or that fake smile, or like high pitch.
Yes. Like, it's good. Or we get, it's interesting. We get that one a few times.
Right.
But yeah, most of the people absolutely love it. So we kind of have transformed into now doing cookies and found out what people love because we said, hey, we need to dehydrate the grains. It's the only way to make them shelf stable. And then if we dehydrate them, we can grind them up with flour. We can then what can you make with flour? We said cookies. Everybody loves cookies. And what better way to take a not so sexy topic like food waste and turn it into something everybody loves, like cookies.
Right. No, I love that. And I think that's amazing. I mean, just like you said, taking something that is very unappealing, like literally going to be trashed, and turning it into something that people want every single day. But at the same time, people want every single day. But with these, they actually have health benefits, which is a plus as well, right? So, yeah. I mean, so you guys started, I mean, you doing this, you had, you know, the help of and the support of your mom, started dehydrating, started making cookies. Like, so where did it go from there once you realized like you had a product that people enjoyed and you had thought that it could really take off? Like, kind of what was the next steps from there?
So after doing, I guess, months and months of like recipe development, and once we finally kind of got a product where we're like, okay, we're getting people who claimed that they were like, yeah, I would buy the cookie. Someone saying that they would buy your product is completely different than someone actually pulling out their wallet and buying a product. And that's what I've learned. So we were like, okay, what better way to test this than to go to farmers markets where there's such a high concentration of people. We can, you know, kind of test, like 1 week we'll add less sugar. 1 week we'll put dates instead of coconut sugar, and we'll just kind of test the recipe that way. And we've been doing that for about 8 months now, and it's been amazing. That's what's helped us build our community and our tribe of people. And what I've learned throughout this process is that it takes a village. And as inspiring as the work that we're doing is, you know, we're saving hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food every single week. That's great, but that would not go anywhere without the people that are supporting us. And it's just, I guess I'm advocating for people to support small local businesses and really look for businesses that have profit with a purpose, because what, like, there's nothing more powerful than every single day we have the chance to change the world with our dollar. And to me, I think that is true power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously the more that you guys grow and share the story of what you're doing, it really brings to light issues that people may not even realize. Like most people don't realize the waste that is in restaurants, like, that you've been able to see firsthand. And, we see so many issues with people that don't have enough to eat, or, a lot of different places, like, I mean, even other countries that don't have enough food. We have enough food waste to feed so many people all over the world. So I think by you guys kind of bringing that to light is just, I mean, obviously going to be able to feed more people. And then also more people realize that they can also make solutions to use waste in other ways to, just continue that trend going. Because, I mean, it's really a sustainability issue. And yeah, and I think what you guys are doing is extremely, potentially world saving. So, I mean, I think it's amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate those kind words. And I'm really glad you actually mentioned that, because yes, on the forefront, we are selling cookies, right? So that's the face of the company, but our mission is so much greater than that. We want to build an educational campaign around food waste, making it modern and millennial and not so taboo to talk about, and making it on the forefront of people's agendas, and showing the public that working on these environmental issues does not have to be so complex. Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones, like cookies. Right. So that's truly our goal in shedding that light. So it feels good. I'm really proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. Like, what do you think has been the biggest struggle for you guys as you've tried to organize all of this, besides like the recipe and things like that? Like, what has been the biggest kind of obstacles you guys have had to overcome just through the whole process so far?
Yeah, great question. I would say that there is no playbook for this type of business, right? So if you want to start a coffee company and you want to start a coffee shop, there's kind of like, you can find so many resources out on the internet to all the things you need, all the chairs and the furniture and what you need to order, and Squarespace and whatnot. Or if you want to start a clothing company, there's so many things out there and resources to help you. I would say the biggest challenge for us is that this is still a very new space. And yes, there are other companies that are doing this, but I think we're all kind of figuring it out together at the same time. And there's no playbook on how to actually start this type of business. So that's been the biggest challenge for us is, I study nutrition, Chrissy studies environmental science, and we're both very passionate about our own different things. But having a business background would be great. But even those that would have a business background, it's still hard to figure out like the laws and regulations and how we're going to create a system in which we can save all the food in San Diego. Like, that's our goal. We don't want any food in the restaurant industry to be wasted. There's no need for that. And waste is only waste until someone wastes it, right? So That's how we look at it. So yeah, that would probably be the biggest challenge, is not really knowing like what the next step is and having to kind of adjust and figure out from there. But last year, I would say the biggest struggle in the very beginning was balancing being a full-time student, working and trying to pursue this. And that was quite a challenge. Luckily, we're out of school now, so it's a little bit better.
That's amazing. How has it been finding partners for you guys? Because I mean, is all of your food straight donation, or are you offering to pay a little bit for certain things, or how does that work?
Yeah. So our biggest question we always get is like, who do you work with? Like, what are the partners? And we're very, very lucky. So right now we're currently working, because this was the restaurant that we started at, was True Food Kitchen. And they are amazing. They're all about sustainability, and they've helped us so much. They've been very willing to give us their food, and they actually don't charge us for their food because they would have otherwise just wasted it. So we make it so easy for the chefs. We say, hey, instead of just throwing it into a trash can, we'll toss it into a bin that we provide, throw it into your refrigerator. The next morning we come by, we make our pickup. So it kind of started out with them, and we did like a little like a pilot test, and it was really successful. And then we've actually have had more people reach out to us, which has been amazing. People have actually asked us to work and pick up their excess grains. So Payway, one of the employees at Payway found out about us and was like, hey, we have so much rice too. Would you guys be interested? And so we set up a meeting with their general manager and their chefs, and we kind of explained the process and what we do in True Food. And they were so willing to do that. And now Payway is actually providing us more rice than True Food is. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah. And so PF Chang's is next, and BJ's hopefully in the future. And all, what's really cool is all these big chain restaurants are within just a few miles of each other in every major metropolitan city. So if you go to Los Angeles, or you go to San Francisco, or, Orange County, most of them are all within the same area. So it really makes it easy for us that when we pick up the food, we just make one round every 2 days, and then we pick up the food, we take it to our kitchen. In our kitchen, we dehydrate it, grind it up, and make it into the flour, and then therefore bake into cookies.
That's awesome. So, like, how do you see the company growing as a whole? Because I mean, like you said, restaurants are wanting to jump on board, and as it grows, and especially these chain restaurants, like when you're doing something positive like that, word travels fast. So have you, I mean, I'm sure you've kind of thought in your mind, or maybe you have some ideas that, like, as it grows, and let's say PF Chang's as a company as a whole wants to always donate all of everywhere. So like, have you thought of ways to like expand into other states, or possibly a franchise type situation? Like, has any of that kind of crossed your mind at all?
Definitely. And I'll be real, honest, raw, vulnerable with you and your listeners. That is our biggest struggle. And we are totally open towards suggestions. And like I said earlier, there's no playbook for this type of business.
Right.
So we are looking for different ideas. We've had some ideas where we said, hey, okay, we can take this idea. We're doing pretty successful in San Diego. Why don't we test it out in Orange County and Los Angeles and create more of like we have one centralized kitchen where we do most of the baking and the packaging and the processing. But we have smaller centralized kitchens in these major cities where they do the dehydration process, because the grains, they've got a lot of water. So bacteria grows in water. So you can't have them for more than just a few days. And so we said, hey, what if we have smaller kitchens in these centralized cities, and then do the dehydration process, have that shipped to our main facility, and then go from there. That was our latest theory. But, we've had a few mentors say, hey, why don't you do a franchise model, or why don't you do this? But like I said, we are open towards suggestions and new ideas. So if anyone thinks of anything, please reach out to me, and I would love to hear what you have to say. And we want to solve this issue. We want to really do it. And there are other companies, for example, Pulp Pantry. They do stuff with juice pulp and regrained, take spent grain from breweries, and Forager that does stuff with juice pulp as well. And, food waste is a huge issue, and it needs to be addressed from multiple angles. So we don't really see these other companies as competitors,
right?
Rather players within the same ecosystem working towards a common goal. So, we've reached out to them a few times, and, we always if there's new ideas or new food law summits or food waste summits, we're always all there. So
I love that.
It's been a really cool community.
I think that having that mindset that you guys are there to work together and solve a problem, and everybody can do their part, and everybody there's room for everybody to be successful. Like, I think when people try to get too competitive with that and like forget the main reason while they're doing it, that's when they don't reach the levels that they want to. I think having that mindset is what's going to set you guys apart and really have so much more success with it, because I mean, the more people you connect with, the more you can do, and the more people you can reach. So I love that. And so I mean, so if you guys are listening, you have ideas, shoot them her way. Because,
please.
I really love what you guys are doing, and I can't wait to watch it grow and obviously help in any way that I can as well. But I mean, is there anything else happening in the future that you just want to put out there and share with people, and just what's be looking forward to, or just to continue testing out products, or just anything in the future that you want to put out there and share?
Yeah, definitely. I will say right now, we just passed our milestone, like our goal. We had so far we've diverted 5,000 pounds of food since the start of December of 2017. And so I guess like just in the form of cookies. And so we take the juice pulp from juice bars to flavor some cookies. So it's kind of a complicated business to explain too, because every cookie has its own story. So like we have a carrot cookie that's made with carrot pulp, and then we have a espresso cookie that's made with coffee grinds from Starbucks that we take and
that's
we make
crazy.
it into that. And each cookie, we have a beet cookie made with beet pulp. And then recently I've had the farmers from the farmers market reach out to us and it's like, hey, we have hundreds and pounds of strawberries that if we don't sell at the end of the farmers markets, we throw away or we compost, and can you do something with it? And I was like, sure. My team and I were like, challenge accepted. So we made a strawberry shortcake flavor out of it, and we're thinking about doing like strawberry jam, and so it's those little things. So I guess anything like that you see, and our goal is, yes, the cookies, but I truly want to inspire other people and show that these issues, if there's something in your area that you see that's wrong, don't be shy to take a stand about it. And if there's a fire burning within you, definitely run with that, because that is the true passion that will drive you to find the solutions. And so, we didn't know what we were going to do at first. Like I mentioned earlier, I took the quinoa, went to the downtown and just fed it to people, and later on came a company out of that. So,
and in the same way, your answers for what to do next is going to happen too. And then in 10 years, you'll be like, oh, when I was trying to figure it out with Casey, so it's going to be a really cool journey, and I'm excited for you. And I hope that you guys are like documenting every aspect of it, because I think that part is super important. Do you have like a permanent camera guy on you guys at all times?
I am looking for one, so I really want to. But I like I had mentioned earlier, there's no playbook about it, so I really wanted to kind of, vlogging is becoming the new thing. So I really, not because I wanted to do it to be a vlogger, but I really wanted to show people like the behind the scenes of how it happens, because being now an entrepreneur, or trying to be an entrepreneur, I'm trying to look in all these podcasts and I watch videos, and I'm trying to understand this world of business that I was not really used to before. And I would have loved to see someone start from the bottom and like how they got past these hurdles. And, you see the big, like, successful business people now, but you don't really see, and they talk about how they started, but to actually visualize it and see it would be really helpful. So yeah, I'm looking for a cameraman or a camerawoman.
Do you follow Gary Vee at all?
Yes, I was actually just thinking that.
So you need a D-Rock, essentially.
Yes, I need my D-Rock.
If you are a San Diego D-Rock, and if you know what that means, then you know. So let her know.
All I know. I know. Seriously, I was thinking that when we were speaking, and like something that we learned that we didn't think about. So our original name was Soulful, Full. So like soulful of life and full of, nutrients and whatnot. And we were not even a company. We haven't even filed as a corporation at this point. And we got a letter from Campbell's, and Campbell's the company, and said that a cease and desist letter from us saying that we were infringing on one of their trademarks. And we were nothing. We were a little little dust particle. We were nothing in the grand scheme of things. We had just like brainstormed, and maybe we had one or two articles like our local university wrote about us.
Right.
And apparently Campbell's has an off-brand company called the Soulful Project. And it's a great company. They're doing oatmeal, and it's a more like social business. And it's an off company from them. And that is something that I found, wow, like that is a very valuable lesson. If we had continued with that, we could have gotten sued and lost everything. And that's something so simple as us could have, maybe if we'd done a little bit more research, could have prevented that. So I think those types of vlogs or videos are so valuable to show to people who are like us, I guess, entrepreneur virgins who have never done this before.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. It's a funny story, though. That could have ended bad. That's crazy how
a lot of tears were shed at that point. I will be honest.
As a young person, and you get a letter from Campbell's, like, your stomach hurts a little bit.
Oh yeah, talk about being discouraged and like just being completely lost and trying to come up with a new name was a challenge too.
Oh man, that's amazing. But yeah, no, I mean, I really can't wait to see how it grows. And I mean, even if it's just you guys documenting with your phones, record as much as possible, because like you said, it's going to be super valuable for a
Thank you.
lot of
That
people.
is really good advice.
Yeah, yeah. And Reyanne, what is the best way for people to follow you guys on social media? That way they can follow along with your journey as you put stuff out there and just as you guys grow.
Yes, yes. So very active on Instagram. So it's at SOUL dot soul much, so MUCH. So the idea behind the name was soul much more. So soul much more than just cookies,
I
and
love that.
so much to be grateful for. And we just kind of wanted the name to just really encompass the company. And like I said, we had to change it from soul. So, but I'm much happier now with the name. So yeah, following us on Instagram would be great. And there I really try and show how the whole process is done. So for example, right after I get off this podcast, I have to drive to Payway and True Food, pick up the grains. I'm going to take it to our kitchen and I'm going to try and document all of that. So
Awesome.
if you want to kind of see behind the scenes, that's a good way to follow us. Our website's getting a little makeover right now. It's under construction. So, but it's soulmuchfoods.com. But right now we're redoing it completely. So, but hopefully soon that will be done.
Awesome. And then you have a personal Instagram as well, right? So what is that?
So my personal Instagram is more like my lifestyle and kind of my morals and my, I guess, personal diary. And that is Reyanne Mustafa, just my name, Reyannne, and then my last name, Mustafa, like the Lion King.
Yeah, like before we started recording, I was almost laughing during the intro because I was calling her Mufasa before we started.
I said, that was my nickname off high school. So
oh, that's amazing. All right. So Reyanne, just closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's been your biggest takeaway through your journey so far. But if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
It would be, if you have this undeniable passion inside of you, this fire, like let's say you just get inspired with this idea, journal it, write it down, throw all your ideas down in a journal, and then that will be able to help you clarify your mind. Because I think for me, I'm very much of a dreamer and I think of all these great ideas and, I want to do this and create an educational campaign and create a vlog and all these things. And sometimes I think that can almost be more damaging because I am too scatterbrained, and I have a really good partner who's really good at executing ideas. So we work really well together. She is truly amazing. So I guess my one piece of advice is keeping a journal and keeping track of yourself has been the biggest help for me. I guess a tangible advice, there's advices, go follow your dreams, go follow your goals, but I want to give people actual tangible thing that they can do. And that would definitely be it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I 100% agree with that. And yeah, I just thank you so much, Reyanne. I can't wait for people to go give you a follow, to give so much a follow. And I mean, for real, I think what you're doing is amazing. And I can't wait for more people to support it. And I personally can't wait to see how it grows. So just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I really loved having you.
Thank you. It's truly an honor. And I really appreciate all your kind words. It means so much. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Reyanne. She's doing so much positive work, so be sure to give her a follow on social media to keep up with everything that she's been working on. You can find her social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drcaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Reyanne's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Reyanne, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to check out patreon.com/Dr. Casey Johnson to learn more about how you can support the Unlock Wellness podcast. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.